Hey guys, welcome back to the brand new episode of the Glow Beyond podcast, and I'm your host, Rocky Wong. And this is where we learn how to live better with a skin condition. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Grace. Hi, Grace.
Hello.
So Grace and I get to know each other online as usual. And I invited Grace today to come on this show to share with us her journey with TSW. And TSW actually stands for topical steroid withdrawal. And I believe that if you have a skin condition and if you are active on social media, you would have already known about TSW. How much? I don't know. Even for me, I'm still learning constantly about TSW and what's happening in the community, the awareness movement, and what the community is doing for themselves. So I am very honored to be able to invite Grace. How I found Grace was because she is also actively sharing about her journey with TSW on social media, which is a very, very difficult thing to do because TSW is an incredibly, I would say, challenging process to go through. So, hi Grace.
Hello.
How are you feeling this morning?
Good.
Good.
Yes.
So funny story, Grace was saying that like she is not functional before 8 a.m. Currently it's actually around 7:30 lah. And Grace has agreed to come earlier because the studio is gonna close earlier today. So thank you so much. I hope that you're functional now. How are you feeling?
Okay, as in like enough to functioning enough.
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken a little before the show,
Yes.
and I really like your calm vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah. So actually, right, Grace. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I am going through my second round of TSW actually. So I started experiencing this since May of 2020. And I went through about 2 years to get back on my feet. My condition stabilized. I was happy. Even my eczema symptoms, they actually didn't come out for a while. And then I caught COVID. Yeah, I caught COVID early this year. And that's when everything flared up. And yeah, I'm still trying to get back on my feet. So yeah.
TSW seems to be a very overwhelming process to go through. It's a very, very challenging condition.
It is.
I guess, how would you describe yourself apart from TSW? Because TSW is not supposed to be our identity. Our skin condition is not supposed to be our identity. How would you describe yourself apart from your skin condition?
How would I describe myself? Well, I am someone who actually love to dance. Yes, I love swing dancing, or some people may call it Lindy Hop. So I used to do that before going through this condition. Yeah, I am someone who also who loves her anime, who loves her manga. I still really have that child, like inner child connection there. So yeah, those are some of the things that I like, which thankfully I can still experience going through this. Is the only thing is just the dancing bit. I couldn't really do that going
Yet.
through this yet. Exactly. So yeah, that's I guess some of the things that I like and what I do.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Because I love dancing too. And I stopped dancing because of my condition for a period of time. Yeah. I actually understand how you feel. So, yeah, how like before you got TSW, you are a eczema patient.
Yes.
So maybe you can share a little bit more about your eczema journey.
Wow. Like the word eczema or being an eczema patient Oh, it's been with me since as long as I could remember, since I was a kid. Yeah. And
Like super young toddler?
super young. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean my earliest memory of needing to take the steroid creams. That started sometime when I was like maybe late kindergarten or even early primary. Yeah, because I've always had like sensitive skin. You know, going out to play and it's hot and everything, and then I'll come back and then in between the folds of my hands and the back of my legs there will be like itchy. So that's how it all started. Yeah, my eczema journey. Yeah,
Wow, that's long.
it's long.
That's very long. I mean, for me, my psoriasis came to my life when I was 9. So
Mm.
at the very least before 9,
Mm.
I think that I had a relatively normal childhood,
Oh, that's good.
right? And
Yeah.
then the dandruff hit me and this and that. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think similarly, when you had eczema, when
Yes.
you were very, very young, I don't want to assume, but when did you start using steroid cream?
My earliest memory of it was around primary school. So my mom went to the government clinic, the hospital. Got those hydrocortisone creams that comes in like in that orange tube, the white cream. So that's how it all started. And thankfully, I my case is not so bad that I need to put it like every single day or to many places. I mean, the culprit is usually like maybe the neck, maybe a bit on the face, the folds of like the hands and the back of the legs. So, but still, on and off use till adulthood. So accumulatively, like the amount of steroid creams that I had to use over the years, it peaked, I think, around maybe around 2018, 2019. I didn't realize it then, but my body started to show signs of addiction. So before you go into withdrawal, you will actually show signs of addiction. Yeah. So in my case, what happened is like I started having this like allergy kind of like symptoms. There will be like spots on my legs. Suddenly certain food will trigger my eczema, which was weird. I could take mangoes. I love mangoes. I really love mangoes. I really do. But then at one point, it's like, oh gosh, my scalp started bleeding. It's like everything got really sensitive. My skin was a lot like itchier. I started swelling. That was around like early, maybe late 2019, early 2020.
Okay.
And that's when something didn't feel right, because even after going to the GP, I thought like maybe there was some allergy, some really weird stuff. I didn't think it was just like, oh, worsening eczema or anything, because it felt off. It didn't feel like just a rash or an eczema rash. After going through several rounds of like antibiotics, like antihistamine, after finishing each course, yes, it subsided, but it came back.
Yeah.
And in fact, the more rounds I go through that whole, you know, like antibiotics and stuff like that, it came back even faster.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that's when something didn't feel right. The doctor asked me to go get some blood work done, thinking like, oh, maybe I got some other serious underlying conditions and stuff. And that's when I felt like, something doesn't feel right.
Of course.
Yeah, so thankfully, through social media actually, I was like, hey, that person looked like me. Because the doctor couldn't really explain what was going through. I even went to see a what do you call it? An allergist, like a specialist in Pantai. Still couldn't explain. Gone through all the, you know, tests and everything. They all couldn't.
So you were not able to get a diagnosis for what you were going through?
Not a clear diagnosis.
How long did you take to realize that actually it was TSW thanks to social media?
I think close to a year.
That was a long 1 year. Must have been a
Yeah,
very long 1 year.
very long 1 year, because it's like it's so hard to be comfortable,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, doing day-to-day things, right? So, but yeah, thankfully, Instagram.
So what did you do? Like you found out that it was TSW. What did you do exactly after that? Because the support for TSW in KL in Malaysia is basically non-existent at that point of time.
Yeah, pretty much. So, at the time, what I did was, well, I stopped going back to my GP. That was the first thing. Um, and basically, what I did was just went into full research mode, find out as much as I could about TSW. A lot of the information about TSW, more of it was available, let's say in the US, those who actually are very vocal about it.
Yep.
I think those who experience it maybe more to like in Asia and whatnot. I think the awareness is just not there yet at that time. But thankfully, there are a few people in Singapore whom I found online who call it TSW.
They put a name on
They
it.
put a name on it. And
Oh,
I was
thank
like,
God.
wow. You know, that's when a lot of relief came, because I was like, I can now know what to do.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery anymore. Even though it was a self-diagnosis, right? But I've seen enough to know that I have what they have. Yeah.
So actually, what is TSW according to your understanding? It stands for topical steroid withdrawal.
Yeah. But they also have a few other names. Red skin syndrome.
Okay.
Some also call it like topical steroid addiction. But usually that part of it is like the signs showing that, okay, the steroids are not working anymore. And then you go into withdrawal, which I'm going through right now.
There's also another name called Cushing syndrome.
I'm not so familiar about
okay.
that. Yeah.
I'm not sure too.
Yeah.
Please go on.
So,
How would you explain TSW?
well, how would I explain it? Well, basically, it's a condition where it's caused by a medical treatment. Like in my case, it was the hydrocortisone creams that I've been given since I was a child,
Okay.
right?
And you were not informed that this would be the possible side effects if it's used long term?
Well, perhaps to my mom, you know, because I was a kid, you know, usually your parent is there to, okay, follow doctor's orders, you know. Even when I did my medicine top up at the pharmacy and all that, it's not something that they constantly remind you. It's like, oh, okay, you got this.
Do you think they even know TSW?
I don't think so. Actually, I don't think
That's
so.
the problem,
That's
isn't
the
it?
problem. Yeah. And also some specialist clinics, the skin specialist clinics, I won't name the place, but they wouldn't tell you what's in the tub.
Of course.
They won't, because it's their, you know,
Their secret formula.
their secret formula. Makes them money. Ka-ching.
Yeah.
So yeah, then you just continue use it, lah.
Because that's what you're told, and
That's what you're told.
we are told to be a good patient, so we listen and never question.
Yeah, just don't question it. It works, right? Okay, then use it, you know? And then you end up going back like, oh, it works. It's like, okay. And then let's say a spot appears, then you go back, top it up. So that's the issue. Yeah. Probably the doctor may have explained it at the beginning, but there are even some doctors who don't even tell you. They just like keep putting this cream,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
And I also am aware that there is actually pushback from the medical community.
Yes.
Like they actually say that this condition is not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you feel about that?
Angry.
Mm.
Very angry.
I understand. And you have been going through it since 2020, and it's been almost 4 years. And I completely understand when someone told you that it's not real.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, let's continue. Yes, TSW actually, like, what is it?
Um, well, yeah, it's caused by medical treatment, but essentially what it does is that it's like a skin atrophy issue. That means it thins your skin, and that's why it's so easy for us to get like cuts. You know, even if we scratch a little bit, then it will just like open, or sometimes you don't even realize you're just moving. It's like, oh, there's a crack in my skin, you know. So it gives you skin atrophy, and also is a how to say, like a nerve issue, right? Because it affects your blood vessels and whatnot. So what topical steroids, what they do is that it constricts your blood vessels, and that's why you see the results very fast. Your redness goes down,
Okay.
and you feel better already and everything because it's suppressed. You know, it suppress everything. So actually, topical steroids, they do not cure you, and I think that's what a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of that, then your body also sort of like, it's always been suppressed.
Yeah.
So imagine going through, in my case, like, you know, over 30 years of like being suppressed, right? So what happens during TSW is that then your blood vessels and all that, it will just like dilate.
Okay.
And that's why we also experience symptoms like oozing
Okay.
and weeping, you know, from the skin. So that's why if you actually do a bit like a Google search, you will see people like tomatoes, right? They're just like puffed up, and then
Yes.
you're all red and everything. Yeah, because the fluids, you know, there's a leakage of the blood cells. It just like everything just is coming out through the skin because everything has been like suppressed for a long time, and then we experience edema and all that. So essentially is that, and a lot of the symptoms that we go through, why I say it's a nerve issue as well, is because we get zings, or
What is zincs?
zings, like how to say, like feeling like crawling across the skin. Suddenly you're like, oh, there's like something, you know. How to say, your skin as well, it doesn't know how to regulate itself. What I mean is like your body sometimes cannot feel heat, or when it's cold but you're sweating.
Yes,
You
I've
know?
heard of this before.
Yeah, so it basically mess up your system in such a way that it doesn't know how to regulate itself already. That's why we're experiencing all these issues.
I think currently in the community, a lot of people are very confused about, what's the difference between eczema and TSW.
Yes.
So, because at one point you realize that it's no longer
It's
eczema.
not eczema.
So, what actually are the distinctive differences between TSW and eczema that you have experienced?
Okay, so when I had eczema, I could still take a bath. I could still shower, it's fine. But because of TSW, going through it, right, like the nerve issues, like the skin, water contact is super painful. It's like, some even like, you know, describe it as like having acid on your skin. It's that painful. Yeah. That's why showering, some of us also develop a bit of a phobia.
Yeah.
I mean, we know we need to keep ourselves clean, but at the same time, you have to mentally like prepare yourself to step into a shower because it's that painful. Yeah. That's like one of the most telling signs that what you have is no longer eczema. Yeah.
Other than that,
Oh, a whole lot more. It's like
you can share a few more.
insomnia, or like the itching that you have is not just like a normal itch. It's like really bone deep itch. Like you just feel like you want to really tear your skin. Like it's that bad of an itch, right? Some would even experience how to say visual issues as well. In my case, thankfully, it's not bad. It's just because of the extreme flaking of the skin as well. So a lot of it like enters the eye, or you have like suddenly cracks around that just appear. Hair loss is also another thing. Thankfully, right now I'm stable, so I still have my eyebrows.
I love your hair.
Oh, thank you so much. Took a while. But at one point I lost my eyebrows. My hairline just kind of like receded. Now thankfully it started growing back again. So these are some of the obvious signs that it's not regular eczema.
I see. I look at you, I wouldn't even know that you went through all that for the past 4 years. Must have been a very, very lonely journey, right?
Yeah.
How was it like for you? Like, I mean, I apart from the physical discomfort and this, I mean, I don't want to downplay it, physical pain. How was it? Like, how did you regulate your own emotions? How did you go through it? How do you manage your own mental health? How was it for you actually for mental health when it comes to mental health? So many questions at once. So I was just trying to ask a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I know because it's a very heavy thing to talk about because
Yeah.
it's a very traumatic experience to go back, which is why I just share whatever that you're comfortable with, please.
That's fine. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, how was it mentally for you, and how did you navigate that?
It's a lot. Definitely it's a lot.
For sure.
Yeah. Because when there's a lot of anger, for sure, but after a while, I realize that I just need to first accept and be okay with myself going through this. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a lot of like acceptance and self-forgiveness. Because it's like having to go through this, you also need a lot of help. I think the first thing that I feel very thankful for is actually the support from my friends and family. That's the first thing. Especially my mom. I think she has done a lot because for her, she's like, she couldn't understand what I was going through.
Nobody did.
Yeah, it was very tough for her. I know it's not just me, but tough for her as well. So, but thankfully she was there to help me, making sure that I'm comfortable, that I'm eating enough and all that. My friends, my colleagues, they were very, very understanding, because it's like when I started to go through the withdrawal, and especially at the beginning stages, it's very, very tough. It suddenly felt like I just disappeared because I couldn't go out. I just couldn't function. I was just like very tired all the time. That's also one of the symptoms, by the way, insomnia and all the brain fog and everything. But they still check in on me, and that is something that really helped me. But at the same time as well, I think throughout the years, a lot of reflection and self-forgiveness, because I think there's a lot of guilt. It's like, oh, going through this, I'm making it hard for like the family. I couldn't go to work properly, and it's like being an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Right? So A lot, a lot of self-forgiveness, and thankfully having consistent support from the people around me. Those are the things that help ground me and help me get through all these years lah.
It sounds like you have a strong community around you, and they really love you. And I think it's always such a beautiful thing when, because we all go through hard times, like during the worst flare up where we would be bedridden, we can't really move properly, and those are the times where we need support the most.
Yeah.
And I can't say for you, but maybe I can. It's such a beautiful thing to witness how much people care for us, and to take action to show that.
Yeah.
And that experience has always shown me that, you know what, even though this sucks, but at the very least, I am so fortunate to be able to be loved this way. And I see that from your experience. And I really want to acknowledge that, even though, yes, TSW is something so difficult to go through, so painful even, but you're so loved. And it shows you as a person too.
Thank you. To those watching this, my friends and family, big hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying that something cute happened in the midst of TSW. And I really, really want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because it's so important.
Come.
So Grace told me that she's actually currently in a relationship. And the surprising thing to hear from her is that she mentioned that the relationship happened, like it jadi lah, right? In the midst of her going through TSW. Can you share a little bit more with us?
I would say I feel very lucky. Yeah, I feel very lucky to have met my partner.
Wait, how did you guys meet? Give us a tea.
Dating app.
Oh, which
Yeah,
app?
yeah,
Which
yeah.
app? Which app?
OKC, OkCupid.
Okay, Cupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually didn't expect to meet someone through that particular app, but yeah, it happened lah.
Okay, before that, before
Huh.
we go back to the story, right? I just really want to know.
Huh.
Actually, I have a lot of, like, people ask me, like, how do you put yourself out there when you are in a space where it's impossible to feel like it?
I guess when I started going on dating apps and I wasn't like completely 100% like okay, right? Even now there's a flare, right? But anyways, my mindset was more of, I think this is also a chance to see how, the character of that other person.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah. Because on these dating apps especially, it's all like, pretty, or like, that person is handsome or whatever, right? But I felt like this is a very good opportunity to see how the person shows up.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we'll put the good pictures up. But at the same time, when you get to the stage where you meet the person, I think that's when you get to really understand. And to me, if let's say the person was like very uncomfortable or wasn't very respectful of my journey,
Yeah.
then it's like, this is not meant to be, and just move on. Yeah.
It's amazing. How did you tell your current partner about eczema and TSW? How do you explain to him even about what you're going through? Because you're equally confused yourself, right?
Yeah. So I think it just happened naturally. It just came up. It just came up, you know. We were just talking about ourselves, and I was just sharing like, oh, now I'm going out more because, you know, my condition at that time was a little bit more stable. My skin was doing better. So I was just sharing, it's like just casually, and yeah, it was okay. And we got together after that, but then my flare up happened, right? Earlier this year.
Yeah.
And he was so chill about it, and he was so okay about it, you know, and he kept telling me, it's not your fault. And that's why I'm very grateful for him.
It's not your fault. Honestly, those 4 words. Oh no, I'm tearing too. It's not your fault, these 4 words. It's so powerful. Right? Because we grow up blaming ourselves. And we grow up always thinking that what is it that we do that is not enough that landed me in this space?
Yeah.
Like, what did I do to deserve this, right? And for your partner to say that to you, it's so healing, right? It's so healing to tell you that what you have today is not because of who you are and what you did. It is just part of life, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing to experience. I'm so happy for you and I want to meet him.
Okay.
Because it's such a powerful thing to say.
Yeah. He probably didn't realize how much that meant to me.
Yeah.
But you know, I think at the end of the day, on top of saying that, he stayed. He know that I can't spend as much time with him or do like normal dating stuff or just, you know, enjoy going on dates, going to like restaurants and stuff like
Going
that.
to dancing.
Going dancing or anything like that. We'll just dance in the bedroom.
Cute.
But yeah, I mean, we are not able to do much
For now.
for now, but he's okay with it, and I think that speaks a lot.
I think a lot of times when, like, you know, growing up, we watch a lot of, you know, dramas online, and we always think that love is such a grand gesture, like arranging surprise or, I don't know, like buying stuff for us. Actually, love comes in such ordinary things, like being there,
Yeah,
listening,
exactly.
and presence, actually.
Yes.
Just being there. And I think
100%. Yeah.
for us, it is especially obvious for us to understand, to experience, and I don't have other words, but it is just so beautiful because that our life, because of our skin condition, we have to slow down. And in slowing down, we learn to observe all these things, not by choice, but it gives us a space to be aware about how important these smallest things are. And I'm also very thankful that you experienced that. So how are things right now? Because you mentioned that
Yeah.
you are going through your second
Yeah.
cycle of flare-up.
Second cycle.
I kind of want to zoom into like when you realized your flare-up is coming back, you know, another cycle.
Yeah.
How did you feel then? And like you anticipate coming.
Actually, I was in denial at first
Okay.
because I was like, I've already gotten back my normal life, right? I could like go out. At least I could eat more food. Definitely, it took me a while to accept, and at one point, I really had no choice but to accept it.
Okay.
right? But eventually it shifted to, okay, it's not going to be that bad because I went through it before. I can handle it better because now I'm going into my this new cycle with more knowledge and knowing where to get my resources from.
Okay. I also want to ask about, like, because when you started TSW 4 years ago, you didn't have a partner,
No.
and right now you do.
Yes.
How do you feel at that moment when you know that the second cycle is coming back? Like, for me, maybe I would be afraid how that person would react.
Yeah.
Like, how did you feel?
I mean, I didn't feel as scared because I know that, how to say, he was aware that I went through this before. So it's sort of like, it's not totally new. It's not like I hid this from him. So I felt okay. It's just more of like, will he, like, how long can he wait or stay with me in this condition, right? I think that's the only thing that was like at the back of my head. But surprisingly, not too nervous about it or not too anxious. Yeah, because I think it's the little things like we spoke of before that he kept showing up.
Yeah.
So even when I was during the early stage of my flare, he was there, so that helped a lot. But even going through this right now, let's say meeting his friends, like social activities, let's say there's a festive season, people have like gatherings and stuff like that. I do still feel a big sense of guilt because then they need to try and accommodate my food, my diet.
Yeah.
Right? If we want to travel, it's like, okay, will she be comfortable with this place? Like, I didn't want to be a burden or a bother.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just kind of like, just go. just, you need to have a life. So, yeah.
So, Chinese New Year is coming.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
And, like in Asian culture, I think a lot of people will ask me the question, like, how do you explain your condition to your friends and family?
Oh, yeah. I mean, during the first round of TSW, I had to also go through the Chinese New Year or the family gatherings, right? So it's like, I did my very best to explain, TSW, like this, and try to go into those details. But now sometimes I protect my energy. So I just tell them, eczema. I don't mind. Because I know sometimes they'll be like, how to say, it's very hard for them to understand.
Yes.
And then sometimes they would, they come from a place of wanting to help lah.
Yeah, of course, always.
Yeah, always lah, right? But sometimes, of course, there are some days where I know myself like, I don't think I can take it. If I just say eczema because they knew that I got eczema since I was a kid, then they were kind of like, okay. But if I tell them that I got like a different kind of like condition, sometimes, it's a bit hard. But because they saw me go through what I went through already, so they understood. So they're generally, thankfully, they're okay. They don't like try to fix things, that kind of thing lah.
Yeah.
So, but overall okay. They're also very cute sometimes because I'll be in my corner having my own food and they'll eat their Chinese New Year food. Sometimes they tease also, now you can just watch us eat only lah. But it's all in jest, and then it's all good. Thankfully, they are pretty cool about it lah.
Like, the way I see you react to your friends and family, is something that is so important for all of us to learn, is that we can actually choose to reserve our energy. Actually, we are the ones who draw the line in between what people get or not get to do to us,
Yes.
right? And for you is the reason why you chose to say that, oh, it's just eczema, it's because you are actually drawing a line that you don't want people to interrupt your energy. And of course, you also know that people wouldn't understand about TSW. I mean, because it's such a new thing, right? So I would like to highly encourage everybody who's listening to this to be aware of the fact that we get to dictate how much we want to give and how much we want to let other people in. So that's beautiful. And you mentioned about your diet, right? Can you share a little bit more about how, like, you say that you suddenly were allergic to mangoes and a lot of stuff?
Yeah.
How's that progress? Like, you see, like going through the healing journey compared to now, now compared to the 4 years before when you got TSW, what are the differences?
So when I had eczema, that means before I went into my TSW phase, I pretty much didn't quite bother very much about my diet. I just eat whatever I wanted. But it's not to say I eat very badly, because I, like when it comes to junk food, like fast food and stuff like that, I generally didn't feel comfortable, but still, I wouldn't say it's the healthiest also lah, the fried foods and stuff like that. So now, because I have all these sensitivities, ooh, I really made sure that the source of my food is like as clean as possible. Also, with this condition, you tend to develop a lot of food sensitivities. So it's always, I'm always sticking to the same thing.
What are the examples of the food that you're allergic to at the moment?
Definitely sweet things like mangoes for sure, because they are very, very sweet.
Does it mean no durian for you?
No durian also. Durian kakis, right? So anything that is sweet, even like papayas I couldn't take, green apples maybe a little bit, or dragon fruit maybe. But I do find that, my skin feels a bit different. But caveat, not everyone reacts the same way, so it depends on the individual.
Yes.
For me, definitely no nightshades. Nightshades meaning like tomatoes, chilies, eggplants, even potatoes if I'm not mistaken. So those things tend to trigger me.
Okay.
So right now my diet usually is like more protein, like meat. So it's either chicken or beef, and some vegetables that I can actually take. I do take some vegetable blends, so that helps as well. So yeah, and bone broth. It's like a warm hug to your tummy. So these are just some of my basic staple to help me. Yeah.
Interesting. Is there any differences between TSW and eczema when it comes to diet, when it comes to food sensitivity?
Generally it depends because different people have different triggers, right? So in my case, it's not just food but also stress. Yeah, I think for a lot of us as well. Some people are triggered by different things, maybe something that has high salicylates or like, histamine, issues and stuff like that. So it really, really depends. Yeah, so there's no black and white. But
Yeah, of course.
I think there's some basic things. Processed food, just avoid that. Eat as much whole foods as possible. Avoid sugar. Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah,
What
dairy.
about dairy? Dairy.
Dairy as
Can you
well.
take dairy right now?
I tried.
I tried. Yeah.
Didn't work well.
So when you eat something that you're not supposed to,
Yeah.
what are the reactions that you have?
Either it will come like diarrhea,
Okay.
or how to say the itch on the skin, the redness, maybe I bleed more, or I ooze more. So depending lah on how much I eat and what I eat.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing about your diet.
No worries.
Even for me, diet plays a huge role as well. But we're not going to get into this. There's a bit of differences, but it's very interesting to hear from your journey as well.
For sure.
So there's actually a question from one of my followers. They are asking about ooze
Yes,
management.
ooze management.
Yeah, what would you advise? Yes, it
Um,
depends on which part also, right?
yeah, but generally how you handle it is similar.
Okay.
The most important thing about ooze management is keeping it dry. So in my case, the ooze usually is at the back of the neck where the lymph nodes are,
Yeah.
and also the back of my calves,
Mm.
right? And these places are really tricky because especially if you want to sleep,
Yeah.
you lay down the pillow, your legs against the bed and everything. So it's I know it's tough. So that's why it's also important how you manage it during the day and what you eat or know your triggers are basically. So most people maybe they will try to put like, oh, I need to put some ointment or cream and stuff like that. I mean, at most, even to put something, you can put zinc oxide cream
Mm.
because it dries. It's a drying agent. It's not something that moisturizes the skin. Unlike eczema skin, usually the conventional advice would be moisturize, right?
Yeah.
But for TSW skin, it's actually better for us to keep ourselves dry.
Oh,
Yes, so you need to air dry your skin.
wouldn't it be very uncomfortable if it's very dry?
It is.
But it's better.
It's better. You actually feel more comfortable.
So, what do you feel when your skin is wet?
Oh, I mean that's why entering the shower is so painful, right? Like it's so scary because it's painful because with showers, depending on the setting of your shower, it's like little droplets. It's like little pins, on your skin. It's very hard. So that's why you actually want to minimize your contact with water. It's tough for some people. You still need to, of course, for hygiene reasons and make sure you don't get infections, you still need to shower. But you don't have to shower as often as you think. Yeah. So, sweat is okay. It's a way for ourselves to also just kind of like get rid of the toxins, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. You can just wipe yourself down. You can maybe do a sponge bath or, don't use the shower with
Shower head lah.
the shower head because I find that it's very painful.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning when the skin is not strong enough.
Yep.
So you can still cleanse it every few days if you can tahan. But you need to keep it as dry as possible, right? If let's say if you have ooze at the back of your legs, you can actually try elevating your legs. I bought a pregnancy pillow. You'd elevate your legs so that it doesn't touch the bed sheet. And just keeping the hair up where possible. And also making sure that we don't cover it because you're trapping moisture onto the skin. So the key here is basically keep it dry.
Keep it dry, guys.
Yeah.
Do you know how long your TSW will last?
Well, different people have different timelines, and I generally don't like to kind of put a timeline to it because it also
Manage your own expectation.
it's stressful, no?
Yeah.
Because then you think like, oh, I need to get well by
Yeah.
this date,
Then you start planning. Then you realize you cannot do all those things. Then you're like,
Yeah. And it kind of prevents you from healing as well, right? Because
yeah.
you're putting all that pressure on yourself. But I know a lot of people ask this question. It's my second time going through this. I do find that my recovery is faster. The symptoms are not as bad. So, I mean, maybe a couple more months, maybe another year, I don't know. But I just know I feel better faster.
So happy for you.
Thank you.
And thank you for staying so strong throughout this whole thing. Even though you don't have a choice. Truly understand that.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
Speaking to people who are listening to this, and if they have TSW, where can they seek support, and what advice would you give them?
First of all, I think there are a lot of resources online. A lot of resources online. The two websites that I highly encourage everyone to go to is the ITSAN website, right? So it's the International Topical Steroid Association. They have a lot of resources there, not just for those who are going through TSW, but also for the caregivers. So that's one of the top resources. Another website I highly encourage everyone to go visit is tswassist.com. Yeah. So it complements the ITSAN website. They share a lot about like the different treatments or different things. They also survey TSW warriors to see what helped them. So sort of like get a better understanding of what will work, because TSW is a condition that not enough information is available about a condition. The medical community, not everyone accept it, but now we have made a lot of progress. I think in the UK they made big strides to be recognized as an actual condition. So that's why now what we do as a community is that we share as much as possible online, and we have websites like this or platforms like this to collect all this information and help other people who are going through this.
Amazing. And you can also find Grace on social media, and her IG handle is
A healthy look.
Ooh, a healthy look. I love it. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
I think at the end of the day, I just want to share that really you're not alone. I know it's very, very tough. Don't be afraid to seek help. Don't go through this alone. Yeah, really, don't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing such a beautiful journey. I know it's been very tough for you. I find that you're also a very courageous person, because not everybody wants to be seen when they are in this space. And for you to share your journey openly, I think it's very brave, and that's how that I can find you too. So thank you so much. And yeah, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this short chat will be able to give you a more better understanding of what TSW is and how you can navigate the journey. I look forward to having more TSW guests on the show so that we can all understand it better. Yeah.
Thank you for all that you do, really.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget to always, always take care of yourself and glow beyond your skin condition. See you.